POPX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're the podcast that covers everything pop culture and beyond the multiverse. Are you ready to get your geek on? Crank up the DeLorean, warm up the proton packs, toss a coin to your Witcher, and deep dive into your favorite plate of chimichangas. This is POPX Cast.
You are listening to POPX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
POPX Cast.
I was born in it, molded by it.
POPX Cast. No strings on me. Autobots, transform.
Goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny.
Never had a pet pony.
Hasta la vista, baby.
POPX Cast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks.
Excelsior!
Mr. Stanley always welcomes us into our show here each and every week on POPX Cast. Guys, this is episode 133 coming to you on this November the 7th, 2021. What is up, Team POPX? Oh my gosh, it's the whole team is assembled here tonight.
Hey,
it's good.
hello.
Hi.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Austin. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, man. I'm happy to be here.
So good to see you, man. Oh my gosh, man. Are you the key master?
I just miss you so much.
I miss you too, man. And our long walks on the beach with powdered sugar and Vaseline.
Well,
but, you know, I
forgot that last time. You remember that?
You did.
Let me tell you.
We have video
Those Burke
footage.
boys have special family vacations.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Let them go to Burke.
Yes, there's a lot you can do with a 50-gallon drum of hot sauce and Vaseline. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, all the
That's
memories.
a spicy meatball.
Spicy meatball.
Anyway, what's up, guys? The chat is already like taking off over here. I want to say a huge shout out. We got John Poffenbarger, Michael Murray. We got Stumbles Media Outlet here. I believe they may know you, Mr. Burke. We got Luke in the house as well as Jeremy Stoltz. What's up, guys? And DC.
Hello,
what's up, DC? And then Demi was here before anybody.
Yeah.
At the top of the list. He's ready to go. He's like
Hashtag first comment. That's a thing.
I like that.
yeah, he did it. He nailed it. He did good. Thank you, Demi. Appreciate that. So how have you guys been? I mean, what's new in your world? I mean, we're not going to talk about that thing just yet, but is there anything fun going on in this autumn season of
Football season finally came to a close.
Yes.
So I get a day off.
I know you were a little worried about that. You were like, I don't know if I can make it this weekend.
I know. Yeah, the coach officially said we are done for the fall season and we will see everyone next time. So I'm thrilled to be taking a break from living at the football field.
Mama a little tired.
I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to have a lot of couch potato time. It will be shifting into other activities, but it will not be outdoor activities, which I am purely thankful for.
That's true. Yeah, well, that's good. Well, I mean, I'm happy that Ethan got through the season and he's doing well.
They did great too. It was an
awesome.
8-1 season, so they had a great time.
Yeah, Austin, what's new in your world, man? Besides that thing we're not going to talk about just yet, but.
Well, speaking of couch potato, my watch every day says, "Hey, stand up! You haven't stood up in 3 hours."
I'm sorry, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. What do you want me to do?
So you,
That's all I've done this week. It feels like is watch stuff. A couple of really cool things, man. I watched some great movies as of late. I mean, just phenomenal films. Went and got a chance to go rewatch Dune, which was super fun. Watched a little Netflix show right now called Cowboy Bebop. Can't say anything about it, but I'm watching.
You know it's going to be good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff, man. But just my eyes, I've really started to hurt my eyes. I have like this constant strain right now, and I'm like, I have to go back to the eye doctor and I know it's where I've been watching so much stuff, but it's genuinely
like anti-glare coating on your glasses.
I've even got the little blue light where it blocks that out, and that helped, right? But it's I watch so much now, it's starting to strain my eyes. So I told Madison, I'm like, I'm gonna have to take some hours off.
You're gonna have to have some mandatory eye breaks.
Does your eyelid start twitching? Because mine does when I watch it. Like when I game a long time, like my eyelid will just start twitching.
It's weird. I have this pain in the back. It almost feels like it's starting a migraine, but it's strain, and I know it's just from watching so much, which is crazy to me that could come. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. So
my husband would always have his eyes would water when he played too long, because his eyes were tired, and he would just like tough through it.
But the thing is, when you're playing games or you're watching a movie, sometimes, especially if it's a movie that's got a lot of like cinematography in it,
stuff
you don't blink. You don't realize this, but you don't blink. Absolutely. And when you don't blink, your eyes dry out and it starts watering, and you get irritated.
A moist environment.
But according to Jeremy Stoltz over in the chat, he's been hashtag Animal Crossing it all weekend.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
the new update dropped on Friday, I believe.
It actually released earlier on the 3rd.
Oh.
And they surprised us. But yeah, I broke that out on Friday the 5th.
Yep.
And dove right in. And
I saw my wife. She was hanging out with Brewster today and getting serenaded by Mr. Toady Doty, whatever his name is. I know. Yeah, sure.
He's a specially confused animal. He doesn't know whether he's a turtle or a frog, but he does sing beautifully and drive a ship straight. So that's all I need.
I've been playing Call of Duty Vanguard all weekend. Vanguard came out on Friday, and I got the PlayStation 5, and I got a beautiful 4K 120 hertz monitor screen. This thing is freaking baller. I'm not lying to you. It could be one of the best visual Call of Duty games I've ever seen.
I've heard it's pretty.
It's pretty. It's a pretty game. I ain't gonna lie to you, but
pretty sure.
Beautiful views, and you get to go pew pew. It sounds great.
Beautiful views with my pew pew. Oh my gosh. Well, guys,
death and destruction galore.
You ready to get this thing kicked off on the right foot? You ready to do it? All right, Austin, it's all you, man.
It's me.
Hey guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart. We would like to welcome everyone to join us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come hang out with us and join the conversation at popxcast.com. If this is your first time tuning into PopX, first of all, what are you doing? Subscribe. Stay here. Don't ever leave. But second of all, the first 15 minutes or so, we run down the headlines since our last show. Then we dive into all things nostalgic on the retro rewind. And then the halfway point, we hit on the show's topic. And today's topic seems to be one dividing audiences everywhere.
Right down the daggone middle, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And I'm Joseph Burke, Central Florida seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. And I'd like to welcome everybody joining us right now over on the PopX.live streams. And also want to invite you over to the Creative Multiverse, where we're gearing up for January. And if you know what January means, it is Artnuary season. So it's a 31-day prompt challenge starting on January the 1st. Details will be launching on December the 1st, as we will be teasing words coming forth on Artuary, the third annual Artuary. But be joining us. And if you want to get involved on that, and you want to draw with us, and you want to hang out with us, you're more than welcome to. To get started, get on Facebook groups, search the Creative Multiverse, and come join us, and we will add you to the list. All right?
All right. Sounds great.
You're good. Excellent. Yep. Lindsay.
Well, the last episode, since you just said that this week's is 133. Last episode, 132.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. We actually broke down, dissected, stuck it back all together with Scotch tape. The series What If on Disney Plus. We broke that all down and talked about that all through the day. And then we rewound a fun little ditty called Little Shop of Horrors, which was a fantastic good time. If you want to go check out what we had to say about all of those things, make sure you go over to our official website, popxcast.com. And you can also check out all of our other past shows and episodes from the PulpX Collective Archive as well. Yes. And as Austin said before, if you're here and you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
It's time.
Slam the button, slam the bell, slam all the things to make it go ding-a-ling. You know, you need to be here. We'll let you know when we go live next if you're here.
She said slam and ding-a-ling in the same
Slam that ding-a-ling bell.
Thank you, Joe.
Ding-a-ling. Anyways,
wow.
Podcast friends. The people that like to listen to us in the formats of podcasting, we are also in the audio world. Make sure that if you're enjoying our content, that you please give us a lovely 5-star rating and review. Show us your love. We surely do appreciate all of the good things.
We do. And I'm doing a Mr. Miyagi right now. I have no idea why. All right, guys. With all of that said, we will be right back. PopX News coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News coming to you live right here on popxcast.com.
Well, that thing I said that we ain't going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about now. Austin Burke.
Blow the lid off of that sucker.
It is with great honor, deepest pride and sympathies, not sympathies, but salutations and complications and all this wonderful stuff, the accolades. 100,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. 100,000 subs
eyeballs
on YouTube. Dude.
Pairs of eyeballs even. That's 200,000. That's 200,000 eyeballs.
Eyelash
total.
Do you know what's funny, Austin?
Yeah.
I was going through my screenshots the other day because I had before I started working on your logos. This was in phase 1. I had a screenshot of your YouTube channel at 30,000.
Oh, that's a millennium.
This is when you had the green Austin Burke back in the day, and I was just
what was the date on that sucker?
You know what? That's a really good question.
Recall?
Let me see if I can recall. But it was just so cool going back and
That's
just
so exciting.
seeing.
How does it feel to hit that benchmark?
How does that feel,
I know
Austin?
it's been kind of like your lifelong dream to make this a success, and now you're reaching these huge milestones.
Yeah. How does it feel, man? Seriously.
It feels.
Oh my God! I found it.
Whoa.
Holy
let him answer the. Let him answer the
sorry,
question.
I got excited.
What was the date? I'm curious. What was the date, Joe?
I'm looking now. Hold on. The date is. Keep talking. I got you.
Well, I feel like it feels like I've been doing it a lot longer than I have. I mean, really, I started going full on into this in 2017. So I guess it's about 4 to 5 years kind of focusing on this. And then once I quit my government job, I really got to focus on this.
Yeah, that was a big moment. I remember when that happened.
Yeah, because it's like college done, government job done. It's like, what do I have now? Well, I have this, and my wife and my dog. But I have this. You know what I mean? Like this is
you,
my
man.
full. So I was able to go, it feels like 50 to 100 quicker than I went from 30 to 50 just because I could.
You had the time invested in it.
Focus on.
So if our audiences is looking right now at the screen, you're seeing Austin's channel at 31,569 subscribers. This snapshot was taken sometime around July 2018. Austin, this is right when you visited me that summer by yourself.
Oh, wow.
And we went to see Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, wow. He looks like he's trapped in the Matrix.
Look at that.
Oh, and I remember that.
Thumbnail.
It's funny, too. I remember that Toy Story 4 movie review. It got 4.8. And at the time, that was huge for me. Which, 4.8 now is still really good. But that was one of the most. Yeah, that was one of the most viewed movie reviews I had ever had at that point. I mean, that was still like trying to figure out what my channel was. And I think that was around when I started to do the Netflix stuff, too, which is what really got my channel going.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The live streaming stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which I am still hopefully tomorrow is when I do my 100K live stream where I debut my new graphics. So Joe, you're gonna be a little part of that.
Oh, okay.
And an awesome gift that my brother got me for reaching 100,000, and then hopefully YouTube reaches out to me and I get my my little plaque that I get to unbox.
Silver play button.
Little silver play button, right? Man.
That's kind of where I'm looking. But I'm blessed. I'm happy. I love it. I love the community. It's 100,000. I'm sure not all of them are great, but I think most of them are phenomenal people. So I just appreciate every last one of them who take the time.
We thank you so much, man. I remember when you first started here on PopX Cast. It was in 2016. Wow. You started, and it was it's been awesome. You were in college dorms, dude, doing this show with us. It's true.
And the Wi-Fi was
the Wi-Fi was horrible, and you were trying your best to work through it. And here you are, man. 5 years later,
it's been really cool to watch you your journey from growth, from life events. Just this whole stage of your life has just been really cool to watch.
It has been
come along. It's been really cool. Congrats, dude.
With all that said, man, from all of us here at PopX Cast, thank you, man, for 100,000. That's awesome. And all the people out there watching, please, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to his channel. It's amazing. And we're very blessed.
Goal. Do you have a next goal? Because you just can't stop there.
Yeah, I want to hit 150 faster than it took me from 50 to 100. So I'm hoping we can keep pushing. And I'm already at I think I'm at 100. I'm 500 over 100,000. That's the best way to say it. So I've been growing a little quicker the last week. So hopefully we can keep that momentum going.
Let's keep this guy snowballing up to his goals. I love it.
Austin Burke, upward and onward, 100K. All right. So continuing on with the news this week. In late August, Marvel Studios spokespersons acknowledged that Letitia Wright sustained minor injuries while filming on this stunt for the Black Panther film Wakanda Forever. Now, at the time, Marvel appeared to indicate that this wouldn't affect the film's production. However, Wright's quote-unquote minor injuries are now going to cause the Black Panther sequel to go on hiatus. Oof. So, via The Hollywood Reporter, Wakanda Forever will halt production due to the severity of the injury sustained by Letitia Wright. Whatever it is, they're not even mentioning it. But evidently, it was worse than they thought it was, and she's going to have to take a longer healing period to come back from that. So production was able to continue after 2 months following Wright's injury, but this shutdown will begin officially Thanksgiving week, and filming is likely to resume sometime early 2022. So a little delay in the world of Wakanda. What are your thoughts on that, guys? Of course, we want to wish Letitia Wright's health and safety, obviously, first and foremost. But just I hate to hear that. Just anytime an actor or somebody gets injured on a set, you're getting Alec Baldwin vibe. You're like, oh gosh, what's going on?
Oh gosh, that was such, and I think that happened between the last episode and this episode.
It did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was such a sad moment.
Yeah, I mean. I feel bad for all the people that's invested in the production of Wakanda Forever because of this injury, and evidently it must have been more severe than initially thought a couple of weeks ago, and she's going to have to take some longer time. But the fact she's doing her own stunts is interesting in this film.
Yes,
to say the most. Austin, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, well, it's already a movie that, not having Chadwick Boseman for a Black Panther film, they're already having to kind of, I guess, rework that whole side of the Marvel Universe. So I feel like Wright's going to be a major part of that. Now that she's injured, it's going to be a mix, right? It's not just going to be her. It's going to be a little bit of M'Baku, going to be a little bit of Wright, going to be a little bit of, there's still those Michael B. Jordan rumors. And I'm like, Killmonger, could he maybe be back? We don't know. But I'm very curious to see what they do with this movie. I also like I believe this is the film that Ironheart is rumored to pop up in, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so
her and Shuri are working some things out.
Yeah, this could be interesting, but I hope they get going on it because I want to see it, man. I want to see how they do it and how they go about, kind of ending that chapter of Boseman's Black Panther, because there's going to be a great scene with that.
Doesn't Wakanda have that regenerating pool?
Yes, it does.
Well, I mean, who's to say that Killmonger can't come back?
It's true.
So anything's possible. Lindsay, you had something to add?
I mean, even outside of the Black Panther storyline, and how that may or may not change, but anything that happens in any Marvel movie affects everything else after.
True.
So it could affect how and when a character is introduced. It could affect how a storyline may be shifted a little bit. It's really we're creating variants right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Deviants.
with the delay of movies being produced, just like Black Widow experienced, and we had to shift the storytelling of the Captain America and Winter Soldier. Had to introduce a character in a different way because she showed up in that movie, and it was supposed to be the movie first and then the series, and it ended up being flip-flops. So they had to kind of do some last minute shift around. So you never know what you're going to get with Marvel whenever they have to ebb and flow with unpredicted situations like this, like pandemics or injuries or anything like that. So the stories will still be told in their glory. It just might be a little bit different than the originally planned.
Yeah, couldn't agree better. Well said, Lindsay. Yeah. Well, Austin, what do you got for us this week?
I've got some stuff. Also, I did just get a little notification on my phone saying tonight we could see the release of the Spider-Man No Way Home poster, the very first one.
Cool.
Yeah, so it could be during the show. It could be after the show. We'll see.
Keep your eyeballs on the net.
It'll be before midnight. Yes. It'll be before midnight for sure. So.
Stay tuned to Twitter and everything, guys, because it could be dropping. But we're going to go from Spider-Man to Eternals and talk about the cinema score. So Eternals has a cinema score, and it's the lowest for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor was the previous record holder with a B+. Shocking to me. However, this is a curious moment where some of these numbers aren't adding up. Eternals might have this distinction along with the constant chatter about its Rotten Tomatoes score, but it's also cruising toward the chance of having the best international box office of the year for Marvel. Pair that with the fact that its opening in the United States has been strong when compared to other releases, and it's a bit confusing to cut through the noise. Theater goers have enjoyed the movie, but there hasn't been the thunderous crash online that usually accompanies these films. Give it a couple of days to settle, more people see it, right? But still, this movie was billed to be the most unique thing to come out of the MCU, and it's living up to that charge in numerous strange ways. Cast members last night on SNL slammed the movie, stating, "Don't go see it, it's rotten," said the Tomatoes. Why is this film, Lindsay, I'll start with you. Why is this film so divisive?
Well, you're dealing with characters that are unknown.
Sure.
And the trailer kind of gives you a little bit of a taste, but it's not a overpopularized group of heroes ish. And also you're not tying into that same storyline that we've been eating off of for a decade, like we were the other stories. You don't have the Avengers tie-in, I think, is really what's kind of killing this
None of the heavy hitters.
The other stories are getting.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a new thing. It's not something that's been oversensitized or over sensationalized for several years. It's also even the comic books themselves, I don't believe were nearly as popular as the other MCU stories that we've been ingesting for a while. So it's not surprising to me that it's getting mixed reviews out the gate. Hopefully it changes.
Well, and it's not a comedy like Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
It's a little, I wouldn't say dark. It's not like horror or anything weird, but it's not upbeat and peppy like a Thor Ragnarok or anything like that, or the Guardians. It's not a funny comedy. It's
more
definitely more dramatic.
Yeah.
There's a little love story in there. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a taste. There's action, but there's not nearly as much action as the other ones as well. So, I mean, it's really going to be about what is it that you want from a comic book movie? And does that serve that purpose for you?
Sure. Yeah.
I think for me, it felt like, it almost felt like a Marvel reset in a way, because you think about all the characters that we're used to, and this is Marvel's way of kind of resetting the script. Be like, well, it's all of this, but have we told you about this?
Yeah.
And and
there was a lot there too.
There is a lot to digest for
that
sure.
A lot of people don't have a backstory on, so that might have been kind of a turn off as well. I want to dive more into that.
We're going to stop right there because this question we can easily
just fill out the rest of the hour with
we can
all
begin
of that.
But I can understand why it's divisive. People are going in expecting one thing. They're expecting the James Gunn, Russo brothers style, and they're seeing all of this in the heroes and Hulk and Ruffalo, and they're given this whole new set of characters that nobody knows anything about.
Yeah, and Zhao but she won the Oscar last year. She's a very independent style filmmaker, so just her style is so distinct. She came out and said Man of Steel was her movie that she looked at before making this movie. And it makes all the sense in the world to me. It's that darkness, that same kind of storyline, just with a lot of characters. So I could see that. Yeah.
Interesting. What do you guys think of we're going to be talking about this later in the show, but what do you think about the divisiveness of the Eternals, and why do you think that is? Drop us a comment in the chat below.
We'll come back and we'll retouch on those here in a little bit.
Circle back.
Finish up with the news.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to next thing?
Yes, please.
All right. Earlier this week, it was revealed by one of the producers of the film that Dune Part 2 is beginning filming July 18th, 2022. That's just like right out the gate.
Right out the gate, man.
Casting for the sequel should begin soon, and pre-production will begin as early as March. The sequel has been confirmed by the studio and is slated to release October 2023. That is fast.
Have you had a chance to see Dune yet, Lindsay?
Yes.
It felt so much like Star Wars meets Tolkien meets Marvel. It was just...
There was a lot of...
So good.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
There was a lot of that happens during that for me.
Yeah.
And I tried to watch the original because you guys know this is a remake.
The original you can't even
the original one is like, it's cringy.
Well, it actually is all derived from a novel first. There was a novel that was written several decades ago.
I've read half of it.
And
there's a whole lot of what the fuck going on in that movie, and I was like, okay, well, and then it leaves you on this huge cliffhanger because I believe it's intended to be a trilogy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not even going to get the full closure of the story in
not yet.
2023. We're gonna have to wait until the third part comes out. So hopefully it still continues to be successful to finish the story, but what the heck?
Yeah, Lindsay, I get that though. I mean, a lot of these characters and stories.
It was great, but it was just.
It's a rated R version of an Avengers story that never was. Essentially, I mean, you're seeing bits of actors.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw bits.
Those bits. There were bits
and pieces.
And it was great. But I think for me though, the cinematography, the overall color tones of this film,
well done.
I could, even though I have HBO Max. Thank you very much. Even though I have HBO Max and I'm able to see this at home, this right here required me to go see it in the cinema. Yeah. I wanted the surround sound and the sound of the sandworms going through the sand. Mm-hmm. I needed that. I didn't.
Luke in the chat asks if it was really different than the original movie, and I want to say yes.
Oh, yeah,
it was significantly different than the first one. It was much more beautiful and easier on the eyes, even though the story itself that they're telling is a little wonky to follow if you don't have any context. But the cinematography is gorgeous, and I would say go watch it just for that.
It's go ahead. It's like Star Wars meets Blade Runner.
Yeah, very much. Well, and it's Denis who directed Blade Runner.
I know it is 2049.
But it's like I saw it in New York. Good theater. It was solid, right? Then I saw it again, and then I saw it in IMAX for a third time, and it was just. It's completely different, right? My thoughts.
Sandworm in the IMAX. Oh my god,
it was incredible, and my thoughts on the movie didn't change. Like I still loved it the same, and still had like my one or two minor issues. But the experience in IMAX was just, and you actually get more screen. You get to see more of what Denis intended as a director. So, I mean, it's just, if it's still in IMAX or RPX or Cinemark, just go see it on the biggest screen possible.
You wouldn't believe how much extra the little bit on top and bottom would add to
more
the overall.
Ships in the big battle
aspects,
scenes.
ratios. Yep. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Alrighty, we got one more news segment, and we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to go right on into the retro rewind. Tony Stark himself has landed the first major role since sacrificed himself in the Avengers Endgame. He's assembled for the ensemble for Christopher Nolan's next film, Oppenheimer. Keeps growing in star power as sources tell Deadline. Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. in talks to join Cillian Murphy. Oh my God, Cillian Murphy, freaking. Oh my God. I love Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh. What's that show he's on?
Peaky Blinders.
The Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
The Peaky freaking Blinders. God, I love it. In the universe, we just totally went on another world. In the Universal Pictures tentpole. Now, Deadline previously reported that Emily Blunt is also in talks to join the cast. So Nolan is writing and directing the film. Oh my God, you guys are off the rails.
Peaky
Blinders. Peaky freaking Blinders.
Oh my gosh.
Nolan is writing and directing the film that revolves around J. Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist who ran the Manhattan Project that led to the invention of the atomic bomb. Wait, Nolan is writing a movie about the A-bomb with a cast that's unreal.
Dude.
And the Peaky Blinders.
This is gonna be great.
This is
my God.
I
Mary
mean,
Poppins on top of it. Heck yes, let's
you
go.
talk about. I wish you talk about the most stacked casts, and this is just the first 4. This is just the first. Did you just realize? Did we just
shut up?
Did we just? Sorry. You talk about the most stacked casts. This may be the most, right? And you don't know who else. You know he's going to get, Alfred from Batman, Michael Caine. You know he's going to get Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Just say Michael.
I got my knickers in a bunch.
Say Michael Caine. Michael Caine. And it sounds like
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. But you know he's going to keep adding on to this, and it's going to be incredible. I can't wait for this movie. It looks incredible.
Either.
What is it with directors and like having their like favorite acting child that they carry through all their titles? We were just talking about that pre-show. Oh my gosh, that's so
Didn't
funny.
I see an article recently that saying that Michael Caine is officially retiring from acting?
Yeah, that was fake.
Don't they say that after every big movie they're done?
I started to say why he's not even peaked yet.
Still.
Oh boy,
they're still going, man.
One of them. It's gonna be one of them episodes. Okay. We're there.
He'll be 101 years old.
He's not even peaked yet.
Mr. Wayne.
Michael Caine.
What in the hell's happened?
My favorite one was when he's crying. He goes, "Failed you! Failed you!" And then got the cemetery in the background,
and he's got that face like he's always constipated.
Failed you, Master Wayne. I failed.
Anyway,
my favorite.
Wow.
And see, there we go. All right, so that was news this week.
Yeah,
I'm sweating now.
That was a workout.
I'm sweating. You guys ready for a little retro rewind?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Slime me, baby.
What the hell? No. Don't ask me of those things.
No.
I like it when you slime me. Holy cow. Retro rewind. We are back. PopX has literally went off the freaking rails tonight.
We're gone.
So we're talking Ghostbusters 2, 1989. The whole cast comes back. We're talking Annie Potts, Rick Moranis, the whole ensemble. And I don't know, man. The fence is very divisive on this. There's a lot of fans that like 1 more than 2. There's a lot of people that like 2 more than 1. Yeah. And for me, it's split right down the middle, 50-50. You can't have one without the other.
I have a favorite.
You do have a favorite?
I do.
Okay.
For me, it's this one though is like, I remember watching the original Ghostbusters as a kid, and I didn't own the movie as a kid. My dad rented it from the local video rental store. Mm-hmm. But when 1989 came out, at the time, My mom was working at Hardee's. You guys know Hardee's? That's a fast food joint.
That's Carl's Jr. now.
And Hardee's had a complete deal with the Ghostbusters 2 that they had these little audio things and little toys that you would get in that little children's meal.
Ooh, okay.
And as a promotional gift, some of the workers got complimentary VHS copies of the film.
Ooh.
My mom got me a free copy of Ghostbusters 2 when it came out on home release.
That's awesome.
I tell you all that to say this. So I didn't own the first one, but me being a kid of the 80s, this is the one I watched over and over. Okay. So all the scenes are so like etched into my brain, and there's a lot of feel-good moments here for me when trying to get the band back together, trying to get Winston back, and trying to get Bill Murray's character back, and Venkman, and all of them. And then, you've got Egon, just everybody trying to get the whole band back together, essentially, to fight this river of slime that is flowing underneath Manhattan. And I just thought this movie is charming. It's got all the essence of part 1, and it's just amplified in part 2. Mm-hmm. We gave him some French bed pizza. He passed right out. And so, it's just those moments. And Sigourney Weaver, can't forget her. But this one, I just wanted to share that story, how my mom literally was one of the catalysts to helping me have this childhood memory of watching this movie over and over as a kid. But I want to go to Lindsay.
Okay.
Lindsay, what did you think about this movie?
All right. Well, I adore Ghostbusters as a franchise in general. It just has all the good feels attached to it. It's not super scary, but you're still dealing with ghosts. All of the great comedians of that time kind of came together and made this glorious little show. And so I fell in love with it with the first one, but I feel like the second movie just leveled up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Ghostbusters house was totally overhauled and leveled up. So there wasn't like crap falling off the walls, and it wasn't like this janky place. It was actually like a legit facility for them to work out of. The ambulance, or not the ambulance, but the hearse, the Ghostbuster mobile.
Yeah, Ecto.
It had freaking like LED lighting, and all the gear was all like snazzy. And I mean, it was like a legit like emergency vehicle that was recognized by the city as like a thing you pull over for, that sort of thing. The jokes hit harder, like the construction scene whenever they're digging a hole in First Avenue and Bill Murray's like doing the Jersey, like, hey, what are you doing?
Hey, what are you
trying
doing?
to talk with the cops and convince them that they're supposed to be there and that sort of thing. That was hilarious.
Sorry, I had to.
Even the ghosts. I don't feel like we saw as many ghosts as we did the first one.
Well, there was the Titanic.
We did see. This is true. We did see the
Titanic. Freaking.
We did land the Titanic. Yeah. But we got to see Slimer several times in the scene. We got to experience the bad guy. What was his name?
Prince Vigor.
Yes, Vigor. So he was always creepy as usual. And then, of course you have to bring in some cuteness factor with the baby.
The baby.
Which was a twin.
They were twins. Yes. And they do show that at the end of the movie, which I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot it was a twin.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I just feel like the relationships were more solid. The storyline flowed a little bit easier, even though it was really nice in the first one. I just feel like there was more chemistry that was sewn together a little tighter than it was.
They were expanding on what was already there.
Yeah.
And they just took it over the top.
Yeah. Even like the commercials on the TV were even leveled up better. It takes all the good feels from the first one and just amplifies it times 10. So that one has to be my favorite one.
Austin Burke, what's your thoughts on Ghostbusters 2?
I like the first one more.
Okay.
I'll say that. I think the first one has more magic. I like the simplicity of it. The sequel, it goes bigger, and at times it goes better. I think Lindsay talked about the humor in this one works extremely well. And I also like, there's something about watching this in 2021, right? That, how the negative attitudes. The slime kind of feeds off of that. And then at the end, you kind of have everybody coming together and increasing everyone's mood through the Statue of Liberty. Like all of this, applying it to today when everybody's like so sad. We're all going through so many things right now.
Triggered.
Yeah, well, it's kind of how I felt when I watched the new Bill and Ted movie, how everybody comes together at the end. They're celebrating, like, you know, I like the unity. I like the fact that people are rallying around the Ghostbusters. And then, wow, the credits are playing. They're getting the key to the city, like all this awesome stuff.
Yes.
So I found this to be a really entertaining. I found this to be a watch that made me happy more so than I actually like love the story. I think the story suffers a little bit from going a bit overboard with believability, and not that, you know, Ghostbusters is something that you buy a lot in the first place, but I think the first movie does a good job of kind of keeping that grounded.
Right.
But this second one, in my opinion, I think there's just a lot to it, and the effects are solid. They're not the best I've ever seen, but there's a lot to it to where I kind of had to switch off my brain a bit too often, if that makes sense. Even though, again, it's still kind of impressive for the time, but I had a smile on my face the entire time because, like you said, Joe, getting the band back together. I love when a movie can do that. I love when, you know, you go here and at the end you have the culmination of kind of everything. And I'll say this one's more epic, if that's the right word to use, than the first.
Yes.
Even though the third act in the first Ghostbusters, I think is awesome in its own right, but this one, especially the end when you have literally everyone kind of gathered around, I think it just goes bigger.
They drive the freaking Liberty. You know, the Statue of Liberty is literally walking.
And I'll be honest, that's one case where the effects were not. For some reason, I remember that being not the best looking when the Statue of Liberty is kind of walking through the streets of.
It's kind of awkward.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
They use the same technology. They put a guy in a suit and they use the same miniature technology as they did with the Stay Puft Marshmallow. But
it looks better than I remember.
There is one scene that's so cheesy, like when the Statue of Liberty breaks the glass on top of the museum.
Oh yeah, it's like,
and the Statue of Liberty is literally just pasted, like just looking straight down. That's so unrealistic. Like, you know, there's no angle or depth. And I understand, you know, you can only do, you didn't have CGI.
I can overlook that stuff though, because I mean, it's just so epic to try to imagine even pulling that feat off. It's just like, okay, guys, I'll give you that one.
Yeah. And the fact that they even try to give us the Statue of Liberty kind of walking through New York, like that's cool, such an ambitious, you know, like what mind, and we know what mind came up with it, but the creativity you have to come up with the plot of this movie is something else, which is why I'm because they're keeping it in the family with Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is why I'm super excited to see what they do in the new one. But I think this movie is, while I don't enjoy it as much as the first, I think the creativity is just kind of flowing.
I kind of hope, you know, we had a giant figure in 1 and a giant walking figure in 2.
Yeah.
I hope that they keep on with that and just keep it going. You know, the continuity of it's the climactic moment when you see this giant thing walking down the street or whatever. You know, but
there was one thing that I picked up, and I hope that they carry it or at least mention it somehow into this third movie. Egon at the beginning, whenever he was doing the testing with the married couple that they thought they were doing therapy, and they were in the waiting room and they were fighting with each other behind the glass.
Tim Conrad.
And you guys, he was talking to, it was Egon and Ray, I believe, were having a conversation, and he said, my parents never gave us toys when we were little because we always had to do work or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to remember that line because I know that we're going to go to his house in the third movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anything's going to come of that as a reference or anything, but I was like, that is a direct pull that definitely could be taken into the third movie as a reference. So we'll see.
We some New Year's juice from you, Big Apple.
Come on now. I'm going to get tagged for this on YouTube, but I don't give a damn. Come on now. I mean,
so good.
That scene is so good, man. I'm telling you. It is so fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's score it right quick. Lindsay Badger.
I'm going to go with 85.
Nice.
85%.
85%. Austin Burke.
Lower. I'm going to 62. I hate to be the negative, but
no,
I do think it is. And if they feed off of this movie in the next one, like Lindsay said, I really think it could be something special.
I am going to go with the same score as the year it was released, 89%.
Wow.
Nice. Wow. Very good.
Just because, and the only reason I'm rating it that high is because there's a lot of feel-good moments and happy moments in my own childhood.
Yes.
With my mother and all that she went through to get, everything that she got for me. Yep. So that's, there's a lot of emotional attachment to that.
We have a lot of comments in the chat saying that they kind of prefer the first one over the second one.
I see that, yeah.
So you guys, I may be in the minority, and also Joe, I'm kind of glad you're on team 2.
Well,
team sequel.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, they're both great movies. You can't hate one over the other necessarily.
I'm 50-50, man. I'm 50-50.
I absolutely love both of them. But 2, I think, wins for my opinion.
I think we can all agree they're both better than the Melissa McCarthy one.
Oh,
absolutely.
With that said, are you guys ready to talk Eternals? All right, we're going to roll the spoiler alert warning. If you've not seen Eternals beyond this point, you have been warned. So you might want to hit the pause button, come back, and enjoy PopX at a later date. We'll be right back.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned. And so Eternals, we talked about this in the news very briefly and very quickly, but there is a lot of divisiveness centered around this movie. Did we give the actual weekend accumulations money?
I think 71 was the number.
71 is
71 domestically.
71 million?
71 domestically. So,
yes.
Okay. So it made 71, which is that's not the biggest.
No, it did less than Shang-Chi and Black Widow domestically, but I believe the international total was more.
Yeah.
It wasn't there some markets that it wasn't allowed to be played?
There are some markets that because of certain scenes that were added and kept in, Disney did not want to lessen the integrity of its film.
Yes.
And good for Disney, as a matter of fact, for not wanting to change their craft. But we talked about this really early on, is a lot of audiences are going in thinking that the Eternals may, be fighting alongside their famous heroes, or there'll be cameos of Nick Fury or something like that. There's some kind of continuity.
There was none
Nothing whatsoever. And so the Eternals, I'm going to give you a little history backstory, okay? Jack Kirby, one of the original artists from Marvel Comics who worked with Stan Lee to create the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. He's the artist that came up with these. At a certain time, he had some discrepancies with Marvel around, I want to say, the early 60s. Right after he did X-Men, he left and went to DC. All right, and so Jack worked with DC for a long time, and he invented some heavy hitter characters over there as well that are still big time. If you just Google it, I ain't going to dive down that rabbit hole. But at some point, Jack Kirby was swayed to come back to Marvel. And it was promised to him that if you come back, we're going to give you your own book and you can write your own series and do your own thing artistically. Not only can you write it, you can illustrate it as well. So was the Eternals born. And basically, up until this point, the origins of Marvel had never been revealed. There had never been a backstory to the Celestials, the Eternals, and the One Above All. We haven't gotten there yet, but if you know your comic books...
What year roughly was this?
I want to say 64s. I honestly, I can't remember when the Eternals originally came out. Maybe it may be 70s. I can't remember. But anyway, he was kind of promised to be able to write these books. It's like, you come back and work for us, because he was such a heavy hitter. That was when he was promised to come back and start doing that. And let me just make sure on this right quick. I want to make sure.
Eternals #1, July
76.
1976.
Yeah. So there you go. Right after the 60s, right after the X-Men comics and everything, X-Men were still going good with Marvel. And he had left, went to DC, come back, and he wrote this. And we haven't gotten there yet, but I mentioned the one above all. The one above all is the equivalent to God. And we haven't, the red celestial, Ephraimos, or whatever his name is in this movie, he's got a funny name. He's depicted as God, but even he, as a celestial, answers to the one above all, who calls all the shots. And very interesting take on that. So fast forward, this is a whole band of characters, and what a lot of audiences didn't understand or take away from this, we are only focused on 10 Eternals. But if you catch what he said, the Celestial at the beginning, he's planted seeds in all planets across all the universes.
Yeah, there was a lot.
That means each planet has its own 10 Eternals. That's why at the end of the movie they said we need to go find the rest of the Eternals, because there's multiple Eternals out there on planets just living, waiting for that seed to develop and come forth. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of complex and convoluted. So I wanted to make sure that before we start talking about this, you guys at least understand a little bit of the backstory, origin comic-wise. So, but I can understand how this movie can be so divisive, because you have these 10 characters that nobody knows about. What are their powers? Their powers aren't really talked about until you see their powers.
Right.
So we don't know what they can do until you see what they can do. And then you can like, oh, well, she's fast. He does fireballs. He does Hadouken. So, but Austin, what's some of your thoughts on Eternals? I don't want to take up too much time talking and yakking.
Yeah, no, I wanted this to be like the next big, huge, amazing Marvel movie, because I love Chloe Zhao's work. I mean, she's an Oscar-winning director. She's awesome. Marvel's taken a risk by bringing on somebody a little bit more in the independent artistic world, and it was a big risk. Now, the story that she's telling here compared to what she has been doing on this smaller budgeted level is a drastic difference, right? It's a huge story with a lot of characters, a lot of things. I think the decision for me that disappointed me the most after thinking about it was the idea of telling this story out of order, not chronologically, because there's a lot of flashbacks.
There is a lot of cutbacks. Yeah.
And I think that's really, that's one of the biggest criticisms I've seen with the critics, is just the fact that it's kind of going back and forth. And for me, someone who is already like Joe, like you are, we're already familiar with these characters and Icarus and kind of their impact and what a celestial is and how these beings operate. So when people say this movie is confusing, I don't see it. I don't see confusion, but I have prior knowledge. So that's probably why I don't see it. So I can't fault someone for seeing that. What hurt me more in my experience was the storytelling as opposed to the story itself. It was the flashing back, doing it unchronologically, just something that we've really not seen in the MCU. And then you look at the fact that the story is just a lot darker. It's a dark story, adult themes. I believe the first sex scene in a Marvel movie. The first sex scene in a Marvel movie, yep. Yeah, and just all these different things that they're bringing in that people have never really seen before. One thing that kind of cracks me up, I get it. People have always said, why doesn't the MCU do something different? And now they're doing something different. And look at what's happening.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, now they're doing something different.
It's
look what's happening.
Catch-22, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of, okay. But at the same time, I understand some of the pushback, because the way this story is told wasn't strategically confusing. It's told in a way that can and will inevitably, and already is, confusing audiences. So there lies my issues. Now, what I loved about this film was the ambition, was the fact that I believe most, if not all, the characters get a lot of exploration, and there's just a lot about them that I resonate with, like the character of Cersei, her relationship with Icarus. You have Angelina Jolie, who I thought maybe would take over the film with star power, but she was actually giving a reserved and beautiful performance as Thena. You have Kit Harington, who's relegated to this background character, but they're really setting him up to be a huge character in the future. It's like
definitely did
all of these different things. And then for me, the two standouts, Brian Tyree Henry as Phastos, that character, I believe had the most connection, because he's really the only one that's not a lone wolf, that has the familial connection that you can resonate with. And then Kumail Nanjiani, in a movie that's not really all that funny, his character is the comedic relief.
Yes.
And I've seen a bit of divisiveness, but I loved his character.
Yeah.
I thought he was hilarious. I was laughing every moment he was on screen, had me cracking up. So I found the right amount of humor, the right amount of depth to characters. The only big thing is, comparing it to the DC universe, Chloe Zhao, I said this earlier, one of her inspirations, she came out and said, was Man of Steel. A lot of people don't like Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel.
I do love Man of Steel.
So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, okay, this kind of tone, except a lot of characters, and you get the resolve. And yeah, they do the third act CGI battle, but it's different enough. Now, another complaint that I see, and this is my last point, I promise.
No,
Another
good.
complaint that I've seen is, where are the Avengers while all this is going down? My only thing that I can say is everything is happening at the same time. So while the Eternals are battling at the end, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are going through the multiverse. Wanda and Vision are doing their thing with the town. Hawkeye's doing his thing in his Hawkeye series. So everything's happening at once. So pretty much everyone's busy. Nick Fury's in space. Captain Marvel's in space. Thor's in space. The Guardians are in space. That big celestial
There's also that
hand,
what if fight too, where they brought everybody.
Yeah.
to some weird.
Yeah. So it's like
plane.
everybody's busy. So people are like, where are the, and part of me really likes the fact that they didn't have to rely on the other Marvel characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Separate it. I'm okay with that. They'll connect it eventually, but I like how they kept it separate. So I like a lot of the decisions made. I understand why other people don't.
Yeah.
That's where I fall.
Yeah, I do echo a lot of the things you said, and I do want to hear from Lindsay Badger.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that we're addressing what the buzzing rumored complaints are. I feel like overall it's not a bad movie at all. It was very enjoyable for me, but there is a lot of questions because they don't have enough time to answer all of those questions, because there's so many people that has so many different things going on that it's really difficult to answer all of the little things that would probably connect you a little bit more to all of those personalities. They only have time to do that overarching story of who are you? Where'd you come from? Why are you here? They checked all those boxes. So I can't complain that the storytelling was missing, because they hit the major points that they needed to tell. I feel that we would probably enjoy the story more if we had a more deeper connection to these characters, like you were saying with what's his name, Fastos.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that we got to go into his life.
Me too.
And get to his connection. And I think one of the complaints I also heard was the whole depiction of the gays and all that stuff. But you know what? That didn't even bother me, because it wasn't like a whole fairy fest. It was, here's my husband, here's my kid, we're living life, we're moving on. It was not a big statement. It was just kind of an existence, and we moved on. I thought it was going to be a lot worse from what I heard. So,
well, of course, everybody's going to amplify it and make everybody's going to make it sound like.
That was one of the complaints that was rumored about this movie, and I'm like, that's not a big thing at all. My husband gets kind of squeamish about that stuff, and so I have to deal with that internally, anyways. But he seemed to be fine. He lived. Anyways, moving on past that, into the sex scene part, you didn't see anything except for shoulders, and it was really less than 30 seconds, and it was a nice show of that relationship.
You see worse on the CW.
Developed. Yeah, you've definitely seen worse on the CW.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, even, movies have sex scenes, especially if you're trying to show a passionate love story.
Yeah, this wasn't
where
Basic
they actually
Instinct.
are married and they're like, I'm belonging to you, and they're committing themselves to each other for literally eternity. It's part of it. So I really wasn't bothered by that either. I don't think I would take my 7-year-old to go see it, just because I don't feel like he needs to be introduced to that sort of level of love story at his age. But I think that if I took my daughter, she wouldn't even care. Yeah. But, I mean, it's just a different age level thing that you would have to judge as a parent, taking your kids to that. But other than that, there's nothing else in the movie that is sexual in nature at all. So, I mean, there's those would be the only weird parts that I thought that was going to be, something of concern, and it really didn't bother me. So
yeah.
I think overall, I'm sorry, Lindsay, was you done? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not done. We're going to keep talking all night.
Well, I'm going to mute your mic.
But I don't know. It was just, I wish that we were able to, I feel like there was just a missing connection. I think that's where we're having that divisiveness stem from. Yeah. Is that all the other MCU characters, we've had that opportunity to build up the backstories a little bit more for each character and have those emotional attachments to understand why we are rooting for them. And they don't really explain that clearly just because they're inhuman.
Right.
Creatures.
That's what you did there. Yeah. I think for me, the artistic direction of this film was just awesome. I love the gold. I think it was
beautiful.
Like the black marble and the gold. It was just, I mean, whoever came up with the stylized costumes and the overall aesthetic of these gold steps that would come out of the spaceship, and man, it was just beautiful to look at, and it just felt so different, like otherworldly, something we're not used to.
Oh, there was one thing that I did notice.
No, you're done. So in, I'm joking. Go ahead. Let's see.
At the end scene, whenever they're doing their final battle on the beach and at the base of the volcano and whatnot, all those characters were like working together to kind of keep Icarus aside and let them do their thing to solve the problem. But I noticed there was an absence in Kingo. Where did he go? Did you guys notice that he disappeared? He was not fighting on the beach.
Kingo.
Oh yeah. It was when
with the light pew pew balls.
Yeah, he said he was he couldn't be a part of that battle because Icarus turned. So he said he couldn't do this and left. Mm-hmm.
Why?
That's just part of his character.
I think it was, for me, yeah, I was missing him a bit, but for me it was, I can't be a part of this anymore because I can't fight. Because he
knew he couldn't win.
His friend.
Yeah, and he had so much trust in Icarus. Then when Icarus broke that trust, he basically said, I've lived my thousands of years believing one thing, and now I can't be a part of this. So that didn't bother me as much, but I would have liked to have seen him there.
I think it would have been a more effective battle if he was a part of it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, the aesthetic, we've talked about the visuals, the heavy hitting topics that people were discussing coming out of the theater, the divisiveness, whatever you will. And I think it all boils down to it's a brand new story with brand new characters, something we've never seen before, and people aren't used to it. And when people aren't used to it, they don't gravitate to it.
New feels funny.
New feels funny, and I'm sorry you're going to have to get used to it because MCU Phase 4, we're still going to get the heavy hitters like Tom Holland and, Doctor Strange and all of that, but you're going to start getting these influxes of these random characters.
Can we talk about the reference to the
Wasn't that funny? Like I don't. It's like I don't run around on capes and
DC.
Yeah,
Icarus.
It was interesting. It was interesting.
That was
well, and someone made a Superman comparison. Someone said you're the Alfred to my Batman. So it's like DC Comics exist in Marvel.
Like,
what?
Like, yeah, it's almost like the Eternals are acknowledging that the DC universe exists.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy.
I couldn't even wrap my head around that when they didn't do it once. They did it twice in the film.
Yeah, it wasn't just an accidental.
It was ridiculous.
Slip.
I looked over at my buddy Steve and I'm like, did they just say Superman and Batman? He's like, yeah. Interesting. But we do want to talk about definitely those two post-credit scenes.
Yes, please.
Spoiler heavy. Of course, there's a big battle, and we see this amazing climactic ending. I don't want to give too much of the ending away. I think, for me, seeing a celestial approach Earth, I think that's something you need to experience on your own.
I agree.
It is crazy to see that. But talking about these two post-credit scenes, first one was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Is this the one? That's the one
I thought they were both pretty interesting.
Well, yeah. So the first one is right after the main credits end. We see Pip the troll.
I was like, who the hell is this guy?
It was just crazy.
I was like, are we switching over to Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Pip the troll.
What I thought first.
Pip the troll has always been tied to Adam Warlock. Anytime you see Pip the troll, you always see Adam Warlock. It's almost like Groot and Rocket.
Yeah.
And so if you think about it in that context, So Pip the Troll comes out, character we've never seen before, and introduces Star Fox, brother of Thanos. Yeah. Walks out, and it's Harry Styles.
Did everybody know that Thanos had a brother, first of all? Because I was like,
Eos.
What?
Yeah.
Eos. So here's the crazy
know.
thing. Eos doesn't look like Thanos because Thanos has the deviant gene. That's why Thanos is purple.
Yeah.
So
y'all, those deviants scared the F out of me.
He has the deviant gene, and it made him purple. And he's got the ball sack chin. But anyway, he's got the chin. But it's just so weird because I feel that is a direct reference to Adam Warlock, who is coming and already confirmed the actor and everything in Guardians 3. And I feel that we've not seen the end of Star Fox yet.
No.
I think he's going to be more of an antagonist character. I don't think he's going to have a very major role in films. He's going to be kind of like the Collector of sorts.
You think he'll show up in the third Guardians movie?
Oh, absolutely. He's going to be, Pip the Troll, Star Fox. All of these heavy hitters are going to definitely be showing up in the new Guardians and possibly multiverse stuff. We don't know. There's a reason they were introduced in this film. Hell, we may even see them in Spider-Man for all we know. So we don't know what to expect in these next upcoming Marvel movies, but that was
stay tuned for Star Fox Harry Styles action because, watermelon sugar and all that.
It was watermelon sugar high, I was just like, wait, what? I was like, I totally forgot that he was even part of this.
Yeah.
And he walks out and I'm like, wait, what? Totally did not expect that at all. That was so crazy.
So the next one.
My buddy Mike Kendall over here is like, bring on the Black Knight and Blade.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about right now, Mike Kendall. The end scene credit number 2.
Open the box, baby.
So it was weird seeing Jon Snow open up a box.
I can't get over the fact that he's Jon Snow.
I know.
And screaming out Cersei.
I know. It's like,
oh my God, that was hilarious.
He was opening the box, and I just wanted to see the box, have some kind of like Game of Thrones symbology on it. It would have been great.
Yeah.
But anyway, but he's seeing the blade, the dark blade there. And does anybody know what that leads up to?
A solo movie?
Specifically?
Black Knight?
Yeah. What is it? What is that blade? What is that blade? What is the ancestry of that blade? Because he hinted at his ancestry in the film.
The rumor is that he's not only getting his own spinoff, he's getting his own movie as the Black Knight. So that's what I'm hoping we get to see.
Right. And so who was the voice talking to him? You might not want to do that.
Yeah, I did not know that was Blade until I because it's like, to me, I wish we would have showed him because you know how many people are not going to know that's Blade unless they Google it.
I just loved the dark, tingly sensation that I got when I heard his voice. That's really the only thing that I enjoyed about it. I was like, I don't know who you are, but can you talk some more, please?
Now that I know it's Mahershala Ali, I'm like, oh, the implications of that.
Is that actually the Ebony Blade?
It is the Ebony Blade. Yeah.
Okay, because they referenced Ebony Blade whenever she was playing with Excalibur on the Eternal ship.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's some foreshadowing there.
There you go.
Yeah, Captain Britain. Yeah, definitely. So the Ebony Blade. So what this whole convoluted thing is introducing, and it's set up again for another reason, is the Marvel Darkverse. The Darkverse is Moon Knight, Blade, Morbius, all of the dark vampire. The Kraven the Hunter is included in this ring.
Ooh, I didn't even talk about that trailer.
And so we have, what is it? Moon Knight. What's his name?
Oscar
Isaac. Already been the movie's like almost 3/4 of the way done.
And there is a rumor going around that Blade will be in that series.
Yeah,
there is a rumor.
Yeah. So you see what they're setting up. They're setting up. All right. So he's going to be taking on Jon Snow. Will become the Dark Knight, the Black Knight, and and then we've got this whole Mahershala Ali sitting over on the side. Nobody got it. I didn't get it at the. I got to be honest. I didn't get it at the beginning. If I remember the comics, Black Knight's blade come from the meteor, and was crafted from Merlin. That is correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You are
King
correct.
Arthur era kind of deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Would it be
Bring
this?
that
Is that the
back.
sword of
Let's go.
Excalibur? Or is that a
Ooh.
different sword?
I don't know if that is, but I know it's that Arthurian era because
It
you
is.
look at the Black Knight's costume, it looks like he belongs in that era. But I love it. I love how that could be so different.
See,
I
Jeremy,
believe they're two different blades because Athena was holding Excalibur and they asked her if it was the ebony blade, and she
True.
said no, it's Excalibur. So they're
Yeah.
two different blades.
Jeremy is over here stealing my thunder at the moment because I was talking about the MCU Darkverse.
He's just
Moon
throwing
Knight,
around
Werewolf
hardcore.
by Night, which is a character, the Darkhold and Ghost Rider are all included in this new Darkverse. So you're talking about souls, damnation, the soul that never sleeps, the vampire. You're talking about all of that. And
Jared
this is-
Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah. And so
That trailer though.
That trailer though. What in the MCU?
So good. Right?
But as you
So
can
good.
see, the Eternals, whether you were divisive or not about the movie, it left us with so much goodness in the end as well, setting up so much more in the MCU. And man, it makes me so excited just to know what is coming down the pipeline 3-4 years from now. Thoughts on that, guys? What do you guys think about these?
I think it's going to be a fun dark road that's going to scare the pants off of me, but it'll be good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
I love the idea of them kind of going back to what Netflix was doing, and speak of the devil, some of those characters as well. But just appeal to a different audience, if you will, a darker, more what you think of when you think that early 2000s Blade. Those movies captured something so specific. So if they can get back to that, you don't even have to do R-rated, but if you want to, that'd be great. But something so specific that we've not seen in the MCU, and I think the closest we've seen in the MCU was Eternals. So it makes sense that it's kind of coming from that.
I have a what if question, Eternals related for you boys.
Sure, get it.
What if instead of having it be a movie, they did a series for the Eternals instead? And how do you think that would be received?
Better.
I think that they would be able to stretch that storyline out and dive deeper into the characters and their relationships over a longer period of time. And it would definitely, I think, be able to educate a little bit better, connect a little better.
With that comes budget restrictions. And I think that's the only thing. This was such a grand story. It's hard to show that. I mean, the scene with the Celestial and Cersei just floating up to him. I don't know if you could do that on a TV
look
budget,
at like
but
WandaVision.
it's great. It's great, but it's
they've
not.
got all that stuff that they can play with, though.
Maybe Disney Plus would allow, but it would be hard for Disney Plus to give them that big of a budget. But I think they could work around it. And like you said, tell more story, which would have helped this movie.
I think so.
It would be cool though if they expanded, when it says the Eternals will return. It would be cool if they expanded that into like a 10-part series though on Disney Plus, and it kind of fleshed it out. You know, maybe each.
I think
episode,
it's a cool universe that has a lot of
It
different
is.
directions it can go, and I really feel like it didn't get its full justice served with this.
You know, it would be
Yeah.
good though because it would allow people in the comfort of their own homes to sit and watch privately and soak it in and understand all the characters and all the dynamics. And that's a really good point, Lindsay. You make a good point about that. And we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what Marvel and Kevin Feige have planned for us, but we shall see.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, let's go ahead and rate this and wrap this up. We're 15 minutes over. So Lindsay Badger, what's your score for Eternals?
I'm gonna do 75.
75%. Austin Burke.
76%.
76%. I am going to go with a 79%. So we got, I kind of, that was the number I had in the head coming out of the theater. I'm like, it's not fully an 80, but it's really high end on the 70. So I'm going to go 79%. So we have 75, 76, 79. That is the official POPX score for the Eternals. It is definitely a certified fresh film. We kind of give it a thumbs up. I mean, it's one that you do need to see, and it's definitely a huge stepping stone in things to come in terms of the Marvel Cinematic
I would say
Universe.
if you're a Marvel fan, you're required to see this.
Yes, you kind of have to, especially
Sure.
even if you don't enjoy the
if
film.
you're trying to continue and follow with the MCU, watch the dang thing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's a lot.
Are you guys ready to wrap this up?
Absolutely.
All right, Austin. Hey, has that Spider-Man trailer thing dropped yet?
There is a poster. It has dropped. It's all over Twitter. Joe, check your text. I just sent it to you.
Josh just said in the chat that it dropped right now. So
is this the official poster?
Now.
This is the official Spider-Man poster. And if you do some zooms, you can see Green Goblin, Electro's lightning, Sandman's sand, and of course, the Dr. Octopus tentacles. I don't know if you guys can get a good. This is about as good as it's going to get on this screen. But if you just want to go over to Twitter or Google or basically anyone right now, I probably am going to do a video after we wrap up today.
Sounds great.
Poster. So I might cover this.
There we go.
Pretty sweet, man. I love that. I love that.
That's pretty good. And that's the official poster, huh?
It's the official poster. Yeah.
All right, let's go. All right. Cool. Look at that breaking news right here on PopX. Austin, go ahead and lead us out here, man.
Let's go. All right, guys. I'm Austin Burke at the Burkinator. You can search and find me. We are part of the newly formed creative group known as the Creative Multiverse for more great media content, artwork, and more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Creative Multiverse. If you are a creative, produce content, or have a talent, we want to see it and would like for you guys to share it with us in the multiverse.
It's a cool place to hang out. You guys should check it out. It's great.
I like it a lot.
All right, guys. Well, I'm Lindsay Badger. You can find me anywhere on the internet at LR Badger. If you want to connect with PopX Cast on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, everywhere that handle is at PopX Cast. If you want to shoot us an email at any time, popxcast@gmail.com. And for this show, any future shows, any past shows, anything that has to do with the show,
pretty much
check out our official website, www.popxcast.com.
And before we go, guys, I am going to go ahead and show you that poster right now here in HD. So there is the brand new Spider-Man poster literally released while we were on the air here. Look at all the Easter eggs, the yellow lightning of Jamie Foxx, the Sandman. You got Dr. Octopus. You've got the Green Goblin. Oh my gosh, bro. What is going on? Wow.
Boy.
All right.
Guys.
All right, guys. So I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts all over social media. Of course, hats off to the amazing Team PopX, Lindsay and Austin. Could not do this without you and you, the viewers, subscribers, and audiences of PopX Cast. We love you and we thank you. And guess what? We'll be back in 2 weeks for episode 134 as we break down Ghostbusters Afterlife. Oh my gosh, it is that season. Ghostbusters, who you going to call? You guys ready to wrap this thing up?
I think so.
Let's do it. Take care. We'll see you next time on PopX Cast.
From everyone at PopX Cast, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that notification bell so you know when we go live next. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Throw us up a like on Instagram and all those other social media outlets at PopX Cast. Until next time.